Okay, I'm going to show you a tutorial on how to create almost a reverse drawing using an eraser to draw with. It's a nice process because actually you're studying the highlights and the dark shadows more intensely than you would just a normal drawing. So here I'm just scrunching up some paper and flattening it just to give myself a texture so that when I rub my charcoal, compressed charcoal on top of it, it gives you a little bit of detailing in the background so my image won't look too flat. So you just rub this over the whole page and then use your hand to gradually just smooth out that tone a little bit because you don't want it too contrasted. And it'll give you a nice base to just start working on top of. See, I'm starting to draw with my rubber. It's better to use a harder rubber because it'll give you more control over what you're creating. But I'm literally just picking out where the light is hitting my image. So I've picked an image of a chain crossing over a fencing, and I'm literally just picking out those the pieces where the elements are the lightest. As I'm going, I'm using elements of charcoal just to create that bit of control of where the edges are and finer details. You could use a charcoal pencil for this, you could use a pastel pencil for this, and just gradually start building up the areas of depth. The layer you've already created acts as the mid-tone, so you've already got all that there. That's why I like this type of drawing so much, because you've got a lot of the tone already there for you. All you're doing is picking out the lightest points and the darkest points. Again, you can see the creased element of the paper is helping give a little bit of texture. My image is quite worn, rusty, so it's giving that little bit of texture where you see it in the chain. And don't be afraid as well if when you start this piece it looks a little bit, you're not quite sure of the direction of it. The rubber highlights, they do pick out the details within the image, but they are literally just the highlights. So as soon as you start putting in that charcoal elements and those bits of depth, you'll see the image gradually just coming together for you. I am a little bit chaotic when I'm drawing. Some students choose to focus on one area and I jump between different sections. It doesn't matter, it just depends what kind of drawer you are. And also, if you haven't looked at your image every 10 seconds or less, then sometimes you end up drawing what you think you see and not what you actually see. So just make sure that you've got your image next to you and you're flicking across every couple of seconds just to make sure that you're creating realism within the piece. And so here as well, I will start adding in bits of negative space with my charcoal, just to make the piece look more complete. Again, it's a quick way to speed yourself up when you're doing your A-level. It's focusing on one section and working into the negative space. I'm also using a rubber to use negative space as well. It acts the exact same way as a pencil. You can cross hatch with it, you can gradually do a gradient and fade it out. And here I'm just using a white charcoal pencil to build in the light, very lightest areas. It also helps you to get some straightened sections if you want some bits of line, bits of texture in there as well. Creates real dramatic contrast within your image. It helps pick out those undulations and curves and intertwining sections because you're building that roundness to the chain. The more variety there is in your tone, the more curvature you're going to get with your objects. And then it works the same if you use pencil, but it's more of a delicate approach, this one. I just used a graphite pencil here just to create my mid-tone across the page. And again, the same process, I'm just working my rubber into it to work out where the light's hitting the fine detailed folds on her dress, on her arms. This principle can be applied to any kind of subject matter, figurative, architecture, organic materials. It's just a case of working with a contrast within your image. If your image looks quite grayscale, maybe get it in Photoshop and just up the contrast just to give yourself a little bit more to work with. Here I've picked out the gradual tints on her cheekbones, on her nose section, around her chin area. It's quite a delicate process when you're looking at facial features, so you do have to be quite delicate with the rubber in this instance. But again, the graphite's just acting as that little bit of mid-tone. And if you're a student who struggles with pulling out their tone or working in the mid-tones, this is a great process for you because the mid-tones are already there for you to work with. Is using elements beneath the drawing. So here I'm just literally PVA glued some newspaper down and I'm ripping that back to get some authentic rips on the back element. Okay, and at this point, I've decided I wanted to get even more contrast within the highlights. So I've added a little bit of white pencil, subtly just to pick out the really intense white sections and create a little bit of texture as well, cross-hatching and making it quite scribbly. So you can see it gradually coming together just there. And then this is more on its way to being complete. So I've tried to create all the details with the pencils, but as well just allowing the backdrop to sit in amongst the highlighted areas, and it just creates that extra depth and extra hidden element within your piece.